Hey everyone, welcome back, or if you're just joining us, welcome to KSSP Podcast. I'm Spencer,
And I'm Katie.
and in this episode of our Difficult Conversations series, we're just gonna be providing a little definition of what difficult conversations are. So, what makes a difficult conversation? Well, there can be a few different things, and so we'll just go over them. One thing is that opinions could vary. For example, if you get into a car crash, you may think the other person is at fault while they may think you're at fault. Another thing is that stakes could be high. So one example that I thought of was like if your roommate is thinking of not re-signing the lease, that could end up jeopardizing your living situation. And then another thing that makes conversations difficult sometimes is that emotions can run strong. So another example I thought of was if you feel like your partner is drifting away, that conversation could obviously then have strong feelings behind it. And then any difficult conversation could have a huge impact on the quality of your life depending on the outcome of it.
Yeah, so there's a few examples of difficult conversations we can talk about today. The first one is like ending a relationship or changing the relationship dynamic. So yeah, those two are both difficult relationship conversations for sure. We can go over like how opinions are obviously they might vary depending on the people. Like if there's one partner who wants, let's say, like an open relationship, and then they talk to their partner about it, and then their partner disagrees, and then also in that situation, the stakes are pretty high because you risk, losing the relationship. They might, if you ask them, they might even just break up with you because that can be a difficult thing to process for some people. And then obviously emotions are going to run strong because the relationship is most likely pretty important to you, I'd hope, if you're in the relationship. And then the second example would be talking to like a coworker, friend, or family member who behaves offensively or makes suggestive comments. So opinions are going to vary on what is offensive and what isn't offensive in that situation. The stakes might be high because if they're behaving that offensively or making suggestive comments, like you don't know what their motives are necessarily, depending on the situation. Emotions are going to run strong. Usually when people are offended, it's pretty rooted in emotion. So the third example is asking someone to repay a loan from you. Like obviously you want the money back and they want to hold on to their money for a while longer, or maybe forever, or and the stakes are high. At least it depends on the amount that they're borrowing from you and how long they're taking to repay it, obviously. If you gave a third of what was in your bank account to someone to loan it to them, and then they're not paying you back, that could be the difference between like paying rent or mortgage or moving out for some people, like depending on their income. And emotions might run a little less strong than some of the other examples. There still be some emotion there because you might feel betrayed or disrespected that the person isn't paying you back on time. And so next example is giving feedback to your boss about their behavior or approaching a boss who's breaking their safety or policies. So opinions are going to vary on whether the rules should be followed or not in that situation. The stakes are pretty high because it's your boss. They can fire you. And emotions, they might run strong stronger in some people than others, at least. If it's something you feel you need to confront them on, obviously you have a little bit of emotion behind it. And then next example is receiving custody or visitation with an ex-spouse. Or sorry, the next one is resolving custody or visitation with an ex-spouse. So yeah, obviously the opinions on, what the terms are going to be for the custody or visitation are going to vary. The stakes are high because you're talking about the safety of your children and, their well-being in general. And emotions are going to run strong because, one, most people aren't on great terms with their ex-spouses, especially in situations where there's custody or visitation agreements. So you might have some negative feelings towards them, and then you're also, worried about your kids' well-being. So there's that emotion as well. And then the next example is confronting a loved one about an addiction. So yeah, opinions are going to vary whether they should get help or not. A lot of the time. Sometimes when you talk to someone, that might just spark something in them and they might want to change. But for a lot of people, like if you're confronting them about the problem of addiction, like they are probably not in a place where they want to quit. Or, maybe in some situations it's somebody relapsing and trying to stay sober but having a hard time with it as well. Or not even just stay sober, but stay away from their addiction in general. And the stakes are high. You're worried about their well-being, their safety, their finances, their relationships, like especially their relationship with you. Like sometimes, you might have to cut them out of your life if it's toxic enough. So the stakes are pretty high in those conversations. Emotions are going to run strong because you're just worried about them spiraling into their addiction. It's caused a lot of worry. And the last example is a doctor breaking the sterile field or violating HIPAA or asking a doctor for meds. So I'm going to go over both of these. So like a doctor violating code, it depends on the situation if opinions are going to vary. And I mean, I guess that's true for every kind of example. Like opinions may or may not vary. Usually they will, but not all of the time. And the stakes are high because, this is your healthcare. You obviously want it done by the book. And emotions are going to run strong because, you're fearing for your health. Or if it's someone else in that situation who's getting help from the doctor and these things are happening, then you're worried about them and their health.
Yeah.
So, and then asking a doctor for meds, opinions may vary. It just depends, how your doctor is and what symptoms you're presenting and if the medication would be the right fit, or at least if the doctor thinks the medication would be the right fit. Versus if you think it'd be the right fit, like the opinions vary sometimes. And then that can lead to a lot of more difficult conversations. The stakes are high, again, because it's your healthcare. And then emotions are running strong just because you want to feel better again, and because when you're sick and you like are to the point where you need to ask a doctor for a certain type of medication, like, I mean, a lot of the time, unless, you're just medication seeking, but like for people who actually are asking for the medication for medical reasons, like their chronic illnesses and mental health or mental disorders and things like that, like anything where your health is being compromised, it's going to make your emotions run really strong after a certain point if, the symptoms are bad enough. It just puts you in a state of like hopelessness sometimes, for sure. And then like the anxiety of asking a doctor for the, a medication or even just increasing or decreasing a dose, asking a doctor about
Yeah,
that, because you're just, you feel hopeless, but then like realizing that there's a medication that could help you kind of gives you hope.
for sure.
Like, at least that's just my experience, I guess. But yeah, so that was our little episode about what is a difficult conversation. And you can join us next time as we discuss things that prevent us from having success with difficult conversations.
And as always, you can leave a comment below if you have any ideas on topics that you want to hear us go over in future episodes.
Yeah, you can reach out to us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, and then we do occasionally live stream. So you can follow us there to get notified when we do that.
And don't forget to give this video a like, as well as follow or subscribe to our other social media accounts and turn on notification there so that you get notified when our future content comes out. Otherwise, we will see you all in the next video.